Hugh Freeze had some interesting comments in his weekly press conference, and Auburn finally retires Cam Newton's number 2. We have a lot to discuss in this edition of the Uptempo podcast. Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Uptempo podcast. As always, I'm your host, Dustin Smith. Hugh Freeze stepped to the podium on Monday to do his weekly press conference. He has some interesting things to say. And Cam Newton, our guy, Cameron Newton, finally, man, he's already got a statue out front of Jordan Stadium, but nobody will ever wear the number 2 again. Before we get into all these topics, man, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button, sub to the channel if you have not done that already. If you are listening on audio, leave a 5-star review, sign up for notifications and alerts there. All those things help the show out more than you will know. So let's talk about some of the things that Hugh Freeze said yesterday at his press conference. I want to start off with the running back position. He was asked about running back, and, there's been some guys that have been banged up in and out of the lineup. So the name that you've heard the most is Omar Mapson. And while I do believe that Omar Mapson is a winner coming out of fall camp, that he definitely improved his stock, don't think he's going to be starting running back when it comes time to take on the Baylor Bears next Friday night. He spoke about Damari Alston. He spoke about Jeremiah Cobb, kind of in a tone, kind of in a fashion that it made it feel like they were a clear 1A and 1B. And then he said, hey, Darrell's coming along. I like what I've seen from the young guy, Omar. And he mentioned that Alvin Henderson's been banged up for the last couple of weeks, so they haven't really got to see a whole lot out of them. So one thing we've learned from Hugh Freeze is he tells the truth. He keeps it honest. He keeps it a buck. Sometimes to a fault. Sometimes it gets him in a little bit of trouble. But you can take what he says a lot of times at face value. And so listening to his comments about running back, I think what he said about Damari Alston was that he was just the most complete back, that he knows everything that Hugh and Derek Nix wanted to do on offense, and that he's capable of executing those things. So sounds like, despite the lower body injury and maybe a slow start to fall camp, that they 100% fully believe in Damari Alston, and that he will be, I don't want to use the word featured back, but he will be a featured back in this offense. Another thing that he said when he mentioned Jeremiah Cobb, something that he said I thought really stood out was he said Jeremiah Cobb is going to have a breakout season, and I truly believe that. Again, Hugh Freeze doesn't just say things to say them. He doesn't blow smoke. He's not the kind of person to hype up a player and then the hype not be real. Now, sometimes he'll say some stuff like, if you go back to last season where he talked about the continuity between him and Derek Nix, he thought the offense was going to be better. It didn't play out that way, but in his heart of hearts, I think he truly believed that. He's an honest guy at the mic. So when he says that he thinks Jeremiah Cobb is going to have a breakout season, he truly believes that. And he wouldn't believe that if it wasn't part of his plan to have Jeremiah Cobb be a major part of the offense. He talked about Jeremiah Cobb having some explosive runs. He kind of got muddied up because he was asked about Friday's scrimmage, but then he said, so he brought up some plays that the running backs had made at Friday scrimmage, but then when talking about Jeremiah Cobb, he said he had a couple of explosive runs today. So I don't know if he was talking about during the scrimmage or in Monday's practice, but doesn't really matter. The big takeaway out of it is he said, I expect a breakout season from Jeremiah Cobb. When Hugh Freeze tells you things like that, you can expect that Jeremiah Cobb will be a big part of the offense. He talked about how they, with the injuries last week to wide receiver, had a couple of guys banged up, nothing serious. Everybody, as of now, will be expected to play versus Baylor. But there was a lot of guys that had some minor injuries and were held out a couple of days last week. They moved Jeremiah back out of the slot, a position that they've tinkered with before. He talked about Jeremiah still looking good out there, having the ability to be in the slot, do all kinds of different things. Said he's kind of struggling catching the ball, but that's only because of the brace on the broken pinky. The brace will come off before the Baylor game, so it's not something they're worried about. They know Jeremiah Cobb can catch. He's just struggling to catch with a freaking brace on his hand. I think that's completely understandable, but he knows the routes. He's capable of running the routes. He can play that slot position. There's a lot of different things that you can do with Jeremiah Cobb. So I've been pounding the table since he showed up at Auburn, right? I predicted last year was going to be the breakout year. It didn't quite work out that way. Hugh Freeze is predicting it. The head coach is predicting it. The guy that's calling the plays, or at least calling some of the plays, right? That guy, head coach, is saying, watch out for Jeremiah Cobb. So I think it's definitely something that is worthy of note. He also talked about the offensive line. He said, listen, likes the potential of this room. He believes that they're capable of doing big things. He likes where they're at in the running game. But he said that right now in the designated drop back passes, you have your passes out the RPO, right? But you have your designated, this is a called passing play. He talked about the pass protection in those situations not being consistent. He said, we have good reps. We string together a couple good reps, but it's not, the consistency is not there. It's just not where he wants to be. He feels like the pocket is collapsing a little bit too early. So that's something that he wants to kind of see picked up. That's one thing that he's concerned about right now, and he wants to see improved. You know, how much of that is Keldrick Falk's just a dude and he's eating, and K'Ron Crawford's taking that next step, and Amars Williams is taking that next step. Malik Blockton doing big things on the interior. Jordan Crawford is a strong name coming out of one of the freshmen that has made some big moves in this fall camp. We're expecting him to get significant playing time down there on the interior of the defensive line. How much of that is just your pass rushers are talented? And also, look, veteran pieces. You love Xavier Chaplin. You like the addition of Mason Murphy and bringing those guys in to shore up your two tackle spots, but they haven't played any together. And if you go back, I said, hey, wasn't sounding the alarm or nothing. Go back with what I said in spring. I said the one thing I hated about spring was that there was so many injuries. Chaplin, Connor Liu, that the O-line was banged up the way that it was. Because, and I said that at the time, guys, go back and watch the episode where I talked about my concerns coming out of spring. I said it might take a little bit into fall camp, maybe a couple games into the season, for this talented offensive line to gel together and become a unit. So just something to keep your eyes on. You know, it's nothing to hit the panic button on or anything like that. But the head coach did say that he wants to see the pass protection improve. He wants to see that pocket stand a little bit longer. And he also made mention of it's hard to gauge these kind of things because the quarterbacks aren't live. In real life, is Jackson going to be able to escape some of those bad pockets and turn them into a first down and all that kind of stuff? We've seen him do it before. Obviously, he has the ability to do it, but you just don't get to see it in fall practice. So just a concern, something worthy of note. You know, I'm not freaking out. I think this offensive line is going to be fine. Even if they're not the best pass protecting offensive line in the league, I definitely think that they'll be serviceable, that they'll be average to above average at it. If not, then you've got to ask them questions as to maybe coaching or scheme or why that is, because you definitely got the bodies. So just something that we should make note of, and let's see how it plays out during the season. Before we get into the second half of the episode, these memberships are popping, guys, so I got to tell you about them real quick. $3.99 a month will get you into the JV squad. $5.99 a month will get you into the varsity squad. The JV squad gets you members-only live chat, member shout-out, priority apply to comments, early access to videos, and it gets you in the game day group chat. You want to be in that game day group chat when the season rolls around, man. It's a ton of fun, especially on Saturdays. Get in there and chop it up with us. It also acts as our message board. So shout out to my guy. Username is Fire Freeze. Shout out to my guy, Fire Freeze, who gifted 20 memberships on Sunday morning's live show. If you have received one of those 20 memberships and you have an X account, DM me on X at DMcShaw28, and I will get you in that game day group chat. Again, it's kind of a way for me to get out all the information to you guys and things like that. Plus, we just get in there and have a good time talking Auburn sports. So drop a little bit of intel. Everyone's kind of in there, just talking about their day, having fun. And then when that game day rolls around, baby, you already know the deal. It's on and popping in that group chat. So go over there, man. If you are a new member, again, message me on X. I'll get you in there. Varsity Squad gets you all that stuff. Plus, exclusive recruiting update videos, gameplay with me on the Xbox. If it's a cross-play and you have PlayStation, if it's a cross-play game, we can make that happen. And the discounted merchandise. This is the best way to support the channel, guys. Not a We don't have the big sponsorships and all that kind of stuff. You know, I work a 40-hour work week just like you guys and come home and do this in my free time. So this right here gives us the ability to go out to the Friday night games, to cover the high school recruits, get up to Auburn on Saturday, cover those games, and hey, pay for the streaming services and all the kind of stuff it costs to run a podcast like this. I couldn't do it without you. So thank you to everyone that has signed up these past couple of weeks. It's been a big jump in these memberships, man. Really hope you guys are enjoying the exclusive content. And thank you to people like Hugh Freeze who give those memberships out. And if you interact with the channel a lot, hey, go check your email. Maybe you were gifted one of these memberships and you didn't know it. So go check your email, man. These guys like Hugh Freeze gifting these out. Man, again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's go over, though, continue the episode. Real quick, one more offensive note that I want to discuss before we talk about some defensive things. When asked about Deuce Knight, Hugh said, physically, he can make every throw. He can do everything that we want him to do in terms of the physical ability. He can, there's not a throw that he can't make. And I'm telling y'all, he's a freak with his legs. If you haven't seen him in action, he can move. I saw him with a bad hammy running with 4 or 5 speed, right? He's a dude. And so Hugh continues to heap praise on Deuce Knight. He said, I wouldn't hesitate to throw him in a game. He said, if I had to throw him in a game, wouldn't hesitate to do it. You know, still kind of, he was asked about he was kind of asked, well, who's the number 2? And he kind of hinted at it situational. It depends on what the situation is. And that's something that we discussed all summer, right? And we kind of felt like it would depend on the situation. If Jackson goes down at Texas A&M, is your best bet bringing in Ashton Daniels in a close SEC game in the third quarter, a guy that's had Power 4 experience? Or is Deuce just that much better and you throw him in there? Do you wait until you have a better opportunity for Deuce, a more comfortable opportunity, maybe a home game or something like that? Because one thing that Hugh did say Deuce needs to work on is his setting his protections. Not a surprise. A true freshman doesn't know how to set his protections quite yet. He talked about just some of those mental things, and that are the things that Deuce Knight needs to continue to work on. But he has all the tools. He shines every day in practice. He makes a wow play every day, from what I've been told by sources, that every day there's just a play where you're like, man, this guy is just unreal. And Hugh's kind of, at these weekly press conferences, he's kind of backed that up. He has super high praise of Deuce, but a true freshman quarterback that's got to learn how to set protections and do the pre-snap stuff. That's to be expected. It's not surprising. I think Deuce will pick it up, and I think he'll pick it up quick. But I thought that was an interesting note from Coach Hugh Freeze there. On to the defensive side. Very, very interesting stuff on the defensive side. Look, we kind of know at this point what to expect from or who to expect on the D-line. We definitely know in the secondary. We know the names. We know what to expect. I want to talk about the linebackers, though, because Hugh made mention of DeMarcus Riddick, Xavier Atkins, Robert Woodyard Jr. Excuse me, I couldn't get Robert's name out. Caleb Wheatland and Elijah Melendez, and Bryce Diaz. He talked about those young cats, Xavier Atkins, Bryce Diaz, and Elijah Melendez. He talked about the intensity. He talked about the juice they bring. And Bryce Diaz, his nickname is Juice. Y'all know I love that. But he talked about the energy and the juice that they bring, the enthusiasm that they play the game of football with. That's what you want from your linebacker, guys. You want guys running around out there, making plays and hitting people. And Hugh said, look, he said, when I don't know who the ones are necessarily, and that may be a little bit of cap, but he said that DJ is constantly rotating these guys out, even when we're best on best. And he said there's not much of a dropout. He said they can all do different things, and I like what they do. He really praised the athleticism and the speed in that room. He feels like Auburn has upgraded the athleticism in the linebacking room significantly. And there's a lot of ways. I mean, getting after the quarterback, obviously stopping running plays in the backfield, guarding tight ends down the field. In today's SEC, linebacker's a hard position to play, man. You've really got to be athletic in order to do all the things you're asked to do in this conference. And it sounds like Hugh was very high on him. And it sounds like he's high on all 6 of the guys that I mentioned. And so that's going to be a very fun room to watch, because you can't play 6 linebackers. There's going to be guys that get more reps than others. I wouldn't be surprised if your Robert Woodyards and maybe your Wheatlands kind of get more reps early. And then those other younger guys, as the season go on and as they get their footing under them and as they gain experience, if they kind of maybe jump those guys and take that next step and begin to get more reps. Look, I think DeMarcus Riddick is going to be a problem. He was really kind of a one-trick pony last year, didn't really understand the playbook. It was a lot of what you saw with Malcolm Simmons on the offensive side. Hugh said, look, he doesn't know where to be, but we got to have him out there because he's just so special and so talented. This year, I expect a DeMarcus Riddick that knows where he needs to be. And that is a dangerous thing for quarterbacks and running backs and offensive coordinators around the conference. So really excited for this young linebacking core. Got a couple of vets in there. I think it'd be really cool, man, to see a Robert Woodyard start the year, have a solid year. He stayed the course, man. He stayed through coaching changes. He stayed in that room. Time, it feels like forever he's been in there at this point. He stayed true to Auburn. He's a real Auburn man. I would love to see Robert Woodyard kind of be the dependable guy that is going to do the right thing and get the majority of the reps, and then see those other guys kind of rotate around him. Again, Bryce Diaz, Elijah Melendez. Y'all know how high I am on Elijah. And Xavier Atkins, the transfer from LSU, just sounds like he's really had a strong fall camp and been super impressive with that athleticism. So don't know exactly how the reps are going to play out at linebacker, but, man, it's going to be fun to watch. And there's a lot of talent in that room. So, and DJ Durkin knows how to use them. That's the great thing. DJ knows how to use these guys, man. So really excited, man. Thank y'all for watching this episode. Later on in the week, stay tuned. Probably Saturday morning. Stay tuned to your notifications. But later on in the week, I will be dropping my official record prediction for Auburn in the 2025 season, man. And then obviously we will be back Sunday for the live show, 9 a.m. Central Time. And then next week is game week, baby. We made it, guys. We have finally made it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for the kind comments over these last couple episodes, man. You guys have really been digging what we've been pumping out here, and I greatly appreciate it, man. I can't respond to all of them, so I'll just tell you now. Thank you. Thank you. I love y'all. Over 100 subs in the last 10 days. Continue to sub, man. Tell your friends. We're just getting started over here at the Uptempo Podcast. Share this video out on social media. Tag me at DMcShaw28. Tag the Whirlpool Network. # level up. And I will see y'all later on in the week with that official record prediction. War Dem Eagle, baby. Until next time. Peace.